Good afternoon, friends and Rotarians, and welcome to today's meeting of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Like I said last week, part of the magic of Rotary is, for me at least, learning about topics I may not otherwise know about, and I'm really looking forward to today's presentation. I think we're all going to learn a lot. Let's begin our program with invocation and pledge from past President Jeff Hassel and guest introductions from Joe Mathis.
Would you join me in prayer? Father, it's an election season, a time when name-calling, labeling, lies, division, our country seems at least to grow weaker in these times, whether that was the original design or not. At the same time, those who believe they are or perceive themselves to be our enemies either grow stronger or at least stronger in their resolve. And so we hope that organizations like Rotary, who are governed not by any political or religious motives, but just a desire to do good for others, can somehow be even more involved in solutions and bringing people together. And so we ask that you guide us with that. We ask that you continue to bless our country and our organizations like Rotary and the persons who lead them. In your name we pray. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Mathis, as Daniel said. Welcome to today's Rotary meeting. This is my first time to do guest introductions, and so there's a couple people doing a scorecard or a feedback card for me, so if you want to get with them and just decide how well I do, that'd be great. We have some great people today, guests, a huge stack of people, and we just really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are the club that is, I think, as Daniel asked us to say, young, fun, and committed. So, no, I just made that up. That's not true. Brian Jackson won the prize. We've got a couple people. So, Brian, would you stand? His guests are Patrick Garcia. And by the way, I'm going to ask everyone to stand and stay standing and hold your applause to Lynn. So, Brian, his guests are Patrick Garcia, the Tulsa Oilers, as well as Amy Henderson from the Tulsa Oilers. So, glad they're here. Jay Height is a guest of Brenda. Yes, thank you, because I thought it was Sarah, so there we go, that confused me. Jay Height is here. Bob Sade brought Mike McClendon. Glad you're here, Bob. Joseph Moore brought LaFonda Murphy with Moore Funeral Home, so glad you're here. Trent Saunders is a guest today. Trent, thanks for standing. Barney James, one of the people giving critiques on my presentation of the guest, brought Sean Sickling. I practiced that and everything. Oh, my score just went down. And then our last guest, Chip Edwards, brought Evan Wilson. Let's say welcome to these guests and glad you're here.
Thank you, Joe. I didn't realize we were being graded. I hate to see what I'm going to get at the end of this year, but I'll be on the lookout. We're going to hear in a little bit from our Rotarian of the Day, DJ. One of the things DJ does for our club currently, of all the other things she does, is recruit volunteers. And one of the things we want to see is new members, young professionals, people up here to share to our club. So if you receive an email from DJ, please respond, please volunteer. It really helps our meetings go smoothly. And I promise you, there is a benefit to being up here and getting to know your fellow Rotarians a little bit better. This is our first meeting of the month of October. 3 weeks from now will be World Polio Day. So between then and now, you're going to hear a lot about polio. The reason, of course, being that Rotary International for more than 35 years has taken on the challenge of contributing to eradicating polio around the world. We've heard a lot about it from time to time, and it's not going away anytime soon. Part of what I learned at the Rotary International Conference just a few months ago was to truly understand the magnitude of what Rotary has done in this area. To make the point, Bill Gates spoke virtually to the conference, and I learned that the Gates Foundation for many years has been matching Rotary contributions to eradicating polio 3-to-1, up to the tune of almost $450 million pledged and given. That is from the Gates family alone, so you can tell how much the Rotary Club at the international level has given. What truly helps me understand the importance of this issue, and keep in mind, I was raised in an era in the United States when polio was not something that really affected our lives too much. But at the international conference, we learned about people, Rotarians, who are doing bike rides across large countries, flying over the Atlantic Ocean, all just to raise awareness, raise money, and contribute to our international foundation. I'm looking forward to hearing more over the next few weeks, and on our October 23rd meeting, which is a day before World Polio Day, we're going to learn quite a bit more. The reason I'm bringing this up is you're going to hear in a few moments from Sheree Gardner about our Golden Circle Gala. One of our biggest purposes of that event and all of our events in the past is to share our Rotary why, what our club does, and why we do what we do. So I think it's really important to keep, at this point in time, one of Rotary International's largest initiatives in mind. And like I said, we will be learning more about that in the coming weeks. So with that, Sheree, we have a side mic announcement. Or is Brian doing this? I knew there had to be a purpose to that, Brian.
I'm just going to take a few minutes of silence while our Brian Revere gets set up.
The gala is coming! The gala is coming! The gala is coming! Now, some said that this was a wig. No, it's a colonial hairstyle. That's right, I'm Paul Revere, and you can be revered as well. Come to the Friday, October 11th.
Golden Circle Gala. Yes, we have our speakers set. We have our speakers set that they are just going to be absolutely amazing. We have Shop with the Cop speaker. We have the Women's Wellness and Abuse. They're going to be speaking. And then we have Lydia that won the Crescendo Award. Now, what's so important about these speakers is that we, as Tulsa Rotary Foundation, help support them. They're not members, but we support them. And so it's going to be a really exciting night. And our crowd is getting big, so we might be out of room if you guys don't buy your tickets.
A silent auction. Yes, ostrich boots are included. Yes. The value on these, $500. But Paul Revere wore them, so easy double that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. The boots, I mean, they're antiques. I mean, Paul Revere wore them, and they're antiques.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So they're worth more. They're worth more than double. They're triple. And even if they don't fit, they're worth more than that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheree. Thank you, Brian. We're, of course, a week and a half away from this inaugural event, and we need as much support as possible. Tickets should be available outside on your way out. Now, our second participation in the Rotary Wig competition is Sarge Barker. Come on down.
You can tell there's a real affinity for wigs in this Rotary, so. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of The Price is Rotary. I am your host, Sarge Barker, and as promised, we will be playing a Rotary game today, the Hot Seat. Now, last week, I showed you a list of participants that wanted to be a contestant on The Price is Rotary. Can we give a big hand to all these people who have donated? Now, one of them will be chosen as a contestant on The Price is Rotary. So if we could have our illustrious president, who is not wearing a wig, Daniel Gomez, to choose the next contestant. Jerry Stamper, are you in the house today? Jerry, are you here? All right, let's give him a hand. All right, now while Jerry is coming up here, I just want to give a big shout out to Mehdi because he is the one who donated this week's prize, a $30 gift card to MK Bistro, Ti Amo, and Cafe Ole. So let's give him a hand. Now, Jerry, have you played The Price is Rotary before? Have you played on Hot Seat?
No, I have not.
You have not. Have you seen The Price is Rotary?
Yes.
Okay, so the rules of the game is that we're going to put Jerry in the hot seat. Jerry, if you can have a seat right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to show him 5 items, and he is going to tell me if the price that is up there is higher or lower. Now, the catch is that he has 35 seconds to get all 5 items and tell me if they are higher or lower. So he's going to have to make some pretty quick decisions. Now, Jerry, do you feel up for it?
No.
Well, tell me, do you ever shop at Target?
No.
Okay. Guys, we may have some trouble here today. Yeah. Now, here's where you come in, audience, because you can also help him with some of the answers. So if you feel like that you know the price, please help him, shout it out. But just remember that I have Mr. Croissant here timing for 35 seconds. He's going to have to get all 5 items. Now, here's how he wins. After the time is up, we're going to review his answers. If he gets 3 out of 5 of them, he wins the game, okay? Now, remember, you're going to help us with this. Now, I'm also feeling pretty generous, so I believe, Jerry, that even though you don't shop at Target and you don't watch Price is Rotary, I believe that you can win this game. In fact, I have $20 that says that Jerry can beat this game. Now, would anyone else like to match that or go higher to think that Jerry can win? How much? $20. All right, thank you so much. Anyone else want to add to that? $20. Now, remember, you only have to pay if Jerry wins. Anyone else? 20. All right, so we have, what, is it $80 now? So, all right, $80, okay?
Sarge,
It's
you
more
missed
than just
Joe.
a gift card. We have one more? Oh, what's that? All right, $100 now, okay? Okay, are we ready? Now that we know. Mr. Croissant, are you ready? Okay, Jerry, you're going to look at the screen, okay? Now remember, audience, you can shout out the answer as well. Okay, on your mark, get set, Jerry, here we go. All right, $12.99, a stainless steel water bottle. Higher or lower? All right. A classic crock pot, 4.5 quart round. Higher or lower? $29.99. Higher? All right, water pick water flosser, $69.99. Higher or lower? Lower? All right, $74.99. A Keurig K Mini single serve coffee maker. Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher? All right. All right, that was time. Oh, okay, we missed one of them. All right, so Jerry, that means that you have to get at least 3 out of 4 of them correct. Okay, this is going to be a tough call. Are you ready? All right, so let's see how we did. First one, we said $12.99 stainless steel water bottle. Was that higher or lower? He said higher? I'm sorry, Jerry, that was lower. Okay, all right, next one. Classic crock pot, 4.5 quart round, $29.99. Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher? Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry. I'm sorry. Well, thank you for playing, though. We appreciate it. Here's actually some of the answers to some of the other ones as well. So, sorry, Jerry, but you know what? We can play again, and if you donate to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation, you can be the next contestant on The Price is Rotary. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarge Barker. Our Rotarian of the day today is DJ Morrow Ingram. DJ has been a member of the Rotary Club of Tulsa since 1995 and a member of Rotary since 1989. She has served the club as Sergeant at Arms and as club director numerous times. She was a longtime editor and writer for the Rotary publication, The Gasser. She currently serves as club service director and manages the club's social media. DJ has been a resident of Tulsa for 30 years, but still calls Kansas home and is loyal to Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Please welcome Rotarian of the Day, DJ Morrow Ingram.
And yes, I'm waiting for basketball season. So, I am really pleased today to introduce to you, and I've known him for a long time, Scott Klozowski. And I've known Scott, we were talking at the table, probably for about 16 years. And back when I ran the Trade Association for Credit Unions, he was one of our most popular and requested speakers. And so when we were talking about somebody that would be interesting to hear from, and I always sit there with a wow look on my face when he talks. So he is co-founder of, and if you want to hear see his whole thing, go on the website or look at our social media, because we put, it's a long list, and he's an author and all sorts of things. But he's the co-founder of Future Point of View, an edgy digital strategy firm. He is helping organizations around the country, at the state of Oklahoma, develop AI strategies. So, Scott, welcome.
Thank you, DJ. Appreciate that. So, just to give you a little bit of background on the AI, I've been speaking on this, and our firm's been working on this for a number of years. We actually look back, we did a think tank all on machine intelligence in 2018. So this is not a topic that just kind of blew up for us overnight in November 22 when ChatGPT and DALL-E 2 came out, and then it became very popular. So I just wanted to make sure you understood kind of a bit of that background. And yes, it's true. There's been waves of what people have been interested in. I got from November 22, when those tools came out, for about the first 4 or 5 months, organizations were calling, and they were going, well, what is this? Can you just explain what is this? And then after that, for about 5 or 6 months, it was all about risk control. Like, how do we deal with the risks that come along with AI? What are the risks? How do we build a AI risk program? Then there became 6 months that was around strategy. Well, how do we build a strategy around AI in our organization? And now it's moved more towards use cases. People are asking the question, well, how can we use this tool? So what I wanted to do with you, in just the kind of short time we have together, is help you try to understand a bit of the bigger picture of what is this really, and how much is it going to change things, and what are some of the risks that we really need to be careful of. Now, I'm not a Q&A at the end person. If you have a question, you will need to just raise your hand and just shout it out while I'm talking. And I will stop, and we can address whatever your question is while we're going along. Is that okay with you? Are you comfortable? I would think, just having spoken with other Rotary groups, you're not quiet. Right? So if you have a question, you just better shout it out. Raise your hand. If you wait till the end, it'll be 12:55, and it'll be too late. Although I'll be around afterwards if you want to just come ask me the question alone. I'd like to do something just so I have some context. I need everybody to stand up for this, right? So just everybody stand up. I'm going to ask you a question. Based on your answer to the question, you can sit back down or not. Right? So if you've used ChatGPT or Copilot or any of the AI tools that are out there in the last 24 hours with your own hands, I want you to stay standing. If you have not, then I want you to sit down. All right, so those of you who are still standing, if you could build a GPT on your own, with your own hands, I want you to stay standing. If you can't build a GPT on your own, I want you to sit down. Congratulations. What's your name? Carl? All right, Carl. I will expect that you will like this talk better than everybody. But very good. You guys can sit down. And Trent, you're with me. It wasn't even fair. He was just showing off. That's all he was doing. I knew you knew that. All right. I'd like to redefine for you the whole term of AI. I don't like the term AI. I only use the term artificial intelligence because it's what the public, what people know. A lot of us who are in this space don't like the term artificial with artificial intelligence. All right, so the term artificial tends to mean fake. And this really isn't fake intelligence. And so you'll hear me use the term synthetic intelligence more. The way that we look at things is there's machine intelligence. That's what's built into a robot. If you have an automated system, right, or built into a piece of equipment, that's machine intelligence. And then there's synthetic intelligence. That's what's built into a piece of software. So I'll use AI just because that's what people know. I just wanted you to know words matter. And it's important that you don't think this is fake intelligence. It's really not. You can think about things as human intelligence. It comes out of an organic human brain, and synthetic intelligence comes out of a machine. But the intelligence is really not that much different. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I'd like to just try to change your way of thinking a bit is when people say AI, this is typically what they think of. Right? They think of applications like this. And they go, okay, well, that's AI. I'm going to give you a different way to think about it as we kind of talk today. AI is not these applications. These applications are, some of them are embedded in other systems. Like if you look at Apple Intelligence or Copilot, those are embedded inside of other systems. It's just embedded intelligence. And then ChatGPT or Claude, those are standalone AI tools. You have open source tools. Mistral, Meta are open source. The other ones are closed source, right? But these are all just AI engines, right? As a way to think about it. They're just AI engines. This is not AI that you're looking at. These are just examples of AI engines. The other thing that I would say is when you think about risks, I want to share with you what I think are risks that will go away versus what I think are risks that we really need to pay a lot more attention to. Today, the risks that people seem really worried about are, hey, what if I upload a document into an AI engine and it gets sucked up into the training model, right? So we could lose that document, or if we uploaded customer data, it could get sucked up into a training model. People are worried about that. People are worried about bias and discriminatory behavior of an AI. And then people are worried about that AIs, quote-unquote, hallucinate. In other words, you ask them a question, and the answer they give you is not correct. It isn't so much a hallucination. It's that you're asking the AI a question that it really doesn't have all the answers for, and it's just doing its best to try to answer, and so it gives you a wrong answer. Now, these are clearly risks today, but I'm not worried about these risks because they are getting less risky every single day. And we are doing a lot of focusing on making sure those risks go away. So let's talk a little bit more about the way I'd love for you to think about this. I would like you to think about synthetic intelligence as just an ambient layer that will be built into a lot of things in our lives. We will swim in an ocean of synthetic intelligence that is all around us. It'll be built into your house, it'll be built into your vehicle, it's built into your devices, right? Your watch, your phone. So synthetic intelligence will just be built into everything. And we're already in a bit the early days of starting to see that. And so that's much more the way to see it. It's not an application. This is a whole new layer on society, right? Or a whole new layer on humanity that we haven't had before, which is synthetic intelligence. And this changes a massive amount of how the world will operate. when we come to risks, here are 3 risks that concern me quite a bit more. I'm worried about AI's use to manipulate people. We already have an issue with social media, where social media manipulates everybody. As soon as you start reading something, the algorithm starts feeding you everything it thinks you like, and it puts you in an echo chamber. And hopefully everybody here understands that. But there's nothing good about the fact that the social media algorithms try to be, 1, very addictive, and 2, just feed you whatever they think you're going to want to read the most. We already have those AIs. We call them algorithms. I'm worried about when that gets 10 times worse. I'm worried about when everyone in the world decides they're going to do AI-based pricing, and they're going to change prices on the fly every moment based on how much money they can extract from everybody. And if you go, oh, what do you mean? Like Wendy's came out a few months ago and said, hey, we might do surge pricing. So we might raise the price of all the Wendy's food at lunchtime. So the longer the line is, the more we're going to charge. Right? Now just think about everything people could do with AI to be like an airline and just manipulate pricing to extract the most amount of money they could get out of us. But there's lots of other ways, right? I'm worried about the big existential risk of this intelligence layer manipulating people because it can and it will. I'm worried about the surveillance, AI surveillance on the public. We already have no data privacy. But what happens when, I don't care whether it's law enforcement or it's criminals, have the ability to watch everything we're doing, consume all that data at once, and build a profile on everything that you do that is 10 times more powerful than what we've already built today. And then I worry about those criminals. I mean, we already have criminals that have cybersecurity tools that are much better than what they've ever had before, right? So they have attack tools that they can use that are causing in the last 6 months to a year many more cybersecurity attacks to be successful. So I just wanted to start out by just trying to reframe a bit your thinking about what this really is when you hear those letters AI. Now, there's some good news. One of the pieces of good news is this is the most inexpensive and powerful technology we've invented yet. I have never in my 40-something year career seen a technology get this much power this quickly at this price, which is extremely low. But that means every organization can use it. And that hasn't been true with a lot of technology in the past. It was fairly expensive for smaller organizations to use. It doesn't matter how big or small you are now, you can afford to use AI power. And I like that. I think that's a great thing. My only other comment is to just try, because it seemed like there are a lot of you that don't use this with your own hands. There's a lot of hype around AI. And there was a lot of hype around blockchain, by the way. And there was a lot of hype around NFTs and cryptocurrency, and there was a lot of hype around the metaverse. These are all not the same. Right? Some of those technologies that were overhyped, they weren't ready yet, or there wasn't a really big market for them. AI is not in this category. AI is an extremely powerful technology that is ready. It will go up and to the right for a decade. It isn't a technology that we're going to be hyped up and hear about, and then it's going to drop off. I think that will not happen with this one. Yes, sir.
Quick question. I agree costs are low now, but the demand is increasing, exponentially. Talk a little bit about electricity demand to feed that, i.e. Bitcoin mining, and just how much energy is being used in one area that's kind of amazing in the amount. It hasn't happened on AI yet. Do you see that happening on AI and what that means for the energy grid? What's the question? We can't hear back here.
Sure. He was just making a comment about how much I look like a young Brad Pitt. It wasn't even a question. He was just like, hey, I just got to stop you. You look amazingly like a young Brad Pitt. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, his question was about the power use of AI, and he was making a really good analogy because he talked about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was probably the first thing that we ever saw that was a technology that put a huge load on servers, hence a huge load on resources, like electricity and water, right? So Bitcoin was something that woke us up to the fact that if you're processing enough power with technology, you can suck resources, all right? So AI is going to be a huge issue with this because we'll need more and more data centers. The data centers will have to have more and more compute power. So it is going to put a load on power grids. It is going to create a load on just power generation. Hence, why you just saw Microsoft bought 3 Mile Island to try to restart the 3 Mile Island nuclear facility. I mean, think about that Microsoft is doing that. Bill Gates is invested in building the Class D small nuclear facility just to try to power data centers. So there's no question that how we generate power and how we deliver power will be impacted now because of needing to power all the AI in the country. All right, great question. All right, I want to try to, when I tell you that AI is going to go up and to the right, it's not going to drop off, I want to back that up. It's really important that you understand the bigger picture, I think, of AI. Like I said, people get all wrapped around the axle that it's ChatGPT or things like that. I want you to understand what's really happening, right? So what's really happening is this concept of being able to extend our minds. Now, there's a philosophy that we love. It's called the humology, right? Humology, the integration of humans and technology. And that's what's really changing during the digital transformation, is that humans and technology are integrating in a way we've never seen in humanity before. Now, that's happened over the last 20, 30 years as we've integrated with PCs and mobile devices and the internet, right? We've integrated all of our processes and systems to be partly human, partly machine. The humology scale gives us a way to measure this, right? And H1, 2, 3, 4, 5 denotes more and more use of human. As you go towards H5, T1, 2, 3, 4, 5 denotes more and more use of technology. The scale allows us to plot any process or system and show how automated it is. So it isn't true that things are automated or not automated. Generally, they're partially automated. There's some human involvement, some technology. The humology scale allows us to measure that. I'm going to use the humology scale to just talk about intelligence, okay? Just intelligence. Intelligence in human beings, it comes from our minds. That's where it comes from. Our brain is just a physical substrate. Our minds sit within our brains. But those are two different things, the mind and the brain. So intelligence comes from our minds, not our brains, technically. So your mind has been constructed over the years of you learning things and creating the amount of intelligence you have. Now, we can look at one end of the scale, and I can say, all right, all the way over to H5, there's a human mind, and it's doing its work. Now, I needed an example, so I thought, okay, a camper who is backpacking with no devices, no notes, no notebook, they are just using their mind. Now, I use Midjourney, an AI engine, to create all my graphics. So everything you saw, like that really cool genie on the front, everything I create with Midjourney, which means I'm partnering with an AI to create these graphics. So this is a true story. I went to create the pictures for this slide. I said to Midjourney, I need a backpacker who is off the grid with no devices. And this is the picture that Midjourney made for me. That's not a real picture, it's not a real person, right? That's just an AI-created picture. Now, the point that I want to make with this is how smart Midjourney is. Because when I said, create a human backpacker off the grid, notice that it made her smiling. It knew she would be happy being off the grid. That's how smart it is. But I'm going to show you in a minute how smart it is not. Because if we go over on the humology scale and we say, okay, she was only using her human mind, okay? But now we're going to talk about, one of us who 30 years ago, this is what our desk looked like, right? And on our desk, we were extending our minds. A couple different ways. One is we were storing memory. So we were writing things down so that we didn't have to memorize them. We were extending our mind. We had calculators because we couldn't do math very well. And so those were tools to extend our mind. Maybe we had moved over to an H3, H3.5. Some human, but some technology to be able to do our intelligence. Now here's where I told you Midjourney let me down. Great job on the first picture. This picture, I tried to make a Rolodex. And if you're as old as me, you look at that and you go, that's not a Rolodex. Like, that's sad. I tried for 45 minutes to get Midjourney to create a proper Rolodex. That was the best I could do for y'all. Midjourney has a philosophical issue with making an old Rolodex. So let's move on down the homology scale. We say, okay, when it comes to intelligence, if we said maybe an H1, right? Still human, but a lot of technology to get something done. In 2007, Apple comes out with the iPhone. Now, the iPhone is what you would think of it as is an outboard brain. That's the role it plays in our lives. It's an outboard brain. It stores huge amounts of memory for us. It accesses any knowledge we need instantly. It lets us communicate with anyone. Right? So it plays a role of an outboard brain. And it is so important to us that everyone's got one in this room. And some of you have it out in front of you right now. Some of you have it face up, right? Which is very inappropriate because that's telling me you're just looking to see if somebody has something more important to say than me, right? Some of you, ma'am, you have yours appropriately face down, not like him, okay? You know, or like Trent, by the way, from my office, who has his up and his laptop out ready to go, all right? So it's an outboard brain. And again, what I'm trying to do is just get you to understand what's happening with extending our minds, because the step we're moving to now is called the hybrid mind. The hybrid mind mixing the human intelligence with synthetic intelligence. That's a hybrid mind. An example, I told you, I work with AI tools to create all my graphics. In this graphic, I just said to Midjourney, I need a businessman with a digital halo. I was just trying to create a metaphor that I thought would be interesting for this piece of the talk, and that's what it created for me. And that's a pretty nice picture, but I had no idea it was going to interpret a digital halo that way. I had no idea it would put a beard on this dude, right? This was a collaboration between me and an AI tool, right, called Midjourney. It's a hybrid mind, though. So when I want to do art today, it's a hybrid effort between my intelligence, my idea for a metaphor, and then the Midjourney, right, AI's idea of how to create the picture. You go all the way to the end of T5, you have a fully synthetic mind. So you have a fully autonomous operation, an autonomous vehicle, right, a fully autonomous piece of software. So I want you to understand the importance of this step we're taking now, of stepping into a world of a hybrid mind and a synthetic mind. Now, there's an aspect that is also important to understand, which is answers this question of, hey, will an AI ever be as smart as a human? So people will ask me that question. And the first thing I have to say is, well, which human? When you say, is an AI ever going to be smart as a human, do you mean him? Right? Because it's already there. Right? I apologize, right? It passed you up about 6 months ago. All right? Is it smarter than him? Well, no. I mean, he already asked me the first question. It was a good question. It's not quite as smart as you yet. But this is a problem with saying, when is an AI going to be smart as a human? Which human? There's another problem, which is, it is inevitable that it will be smarter than probably all humans. And the reason it's inevitable is this concept of collective intelligence. Human beings get smarter by learning from each other. We start as an empty vessel as a child, and then we learn from books, we learn from teachers, right? We learn from other humans. That's called collective intelligence. Every generation is smarter than the generation before because every generation learns from problems that were solved or science that was done by prior generations. Humans get smarter up and to the right this way, but AI, it doesn't have the slow learning that humans have. AI learns extremely quickly. It can share 100% of its knowledge with other AIs instantly. No human can do that. You know, if I asked you to mentor me, that's years long to get a little bit of your knowledge into me. An AI transfers 100% instantly. An AI's ability to have collective knowledge dwarfs humanity's ability to have collective knowledge. Hence, It's inevitable that AI will be smarter than the human race. It's just a question of when. All right. Let's talk then a bit about the risks, again, that I think leaders need to really be focused on, right? Because when I look at AI or synthetic intelligence, what I see is 60% positive and 40% negative. Or in other words, 60% opportunities for advancement for humanity and organizations, 40% risks. So I just want to make sure I'm fair in going through the risks. First one I mentioned to you, cyber criminals. This is no joke. They have incredibly powerful tools, and they're getting better every day. And so it is really important that you understand we have more successful attacks now than we did a year ago or 2 years ago, which means you are in more danger now of being defrauded personally, having your bank account stolen, right, having a ransom note sent to your company than you've ever been. So that's a risk that we got to be aware of. Another risk is just the over-reliance on AI. So as synthetic intelligence gets more intelligence and we build it into our organizations and we come to rely on it more and more, you're going to see people over-rely on it and not even use their own brains. And that's a big existential risk, is that we will so respect how smart AI becomes that we stop thinking. And so I'm concerned about that risk inside of organizations and for our country in general. There's a huge risk of doing nothing. And I say this just to you who are leaders. I run into every day 3 kinds of leaders when it comes to this topic. One kind of leader I run into is, I don't understand it. I'm waiting to see how it goes. I think I could just give it a year or 2 and then I'll jump in, right? It's complex. So we got that. Then another kind of leader, we're experimenting. We're just experimenting right now, keeping an eye on it, getting our governance in place. It's taken a while to get our governance in place. You got to be kidding me. It takes 3 weeks to get your governance in place. So how could you still be getting your governance in place on AI? I mean, that kind of leader is like, we're dabbling in it. We'll see what happens. And then there's the leaders like, this is a powerful wave. It's a powerful new set of tools. It can make a difference. We don't want to be first in our industry, but we don't want to be 5th, right? So we got a plan. We're working the plan, right? There is a huge risk of doing nothing with this tool set. All right. The downstream risks, and these are legal risks in most cases, of you using cloud-based software that builds AI into their software, and then they're sued, they lose, and all their customers get sued. And the primary topic right now are HR tools. So you license some HR tools, and it's helping you decide what applications you should read and not read. And it's proven that it's biased and discriminatory. I don't know, it's ADP, right? And you're an ADP customer, and now you all get sued because you were using an ADP tool, right, that is biased or discriminatory. There's a whole lot I could talk about, especially because you're a lawyer, right? But we won't. About how do you write into contracts to move the liability, but most people don't know to do that. So they just sign agreements with big software companies, and they're taking on a bunch of AI risks now. Yes?
What about the risk of the people? And I think the dock workers are all striking right now. Their first demand is no more automation. We have eliminated ourselves. We've become pretty good.
There's a risk, the risk that you're raising about a risk of automating or replacing a lot of people skills with machines. There is clearly a risk there. I think the question is just really understanding what that risk is. First of all, I don't believe that AI is going to wholesale replace people. I do believe that it will wholesale replace certain jobs, right? In other words, if you have 100 people doing adjudication at an insurance firm, and you have an AI that can do automated adjudication, you might go from 100 people to 20 people pretty fast. So I do think there's a risk of that. And then the question is just, will we upskill those people and find other things for them to do? Or are we just going to let them go? I mean, we are in a job market where we are, 10 million jobs, 10 million workers short. So a lot of the leaders I'm talking to, they're not trying to get rid of people, but they would be perfectly happy to reassign people to better tasks. And so I'm not worried about it overall. I'm worried about it in specific job types. So like you brought up the dock workers. That's legit. We can build robots that can do a lot of what the dock workers can do. And they're going, like companies that run the docks are going to do that. They're going to do it. You can try to write, employment agreements or union agreements all you want to say we're not going to do automation. That's not going to last. Exactly. It's like Hollywood saying, oh, you're not allowed to use AI to help build a movie? You got to be kidding me. You know how that's going to get solved? A bunch of people not in Hollywood are going to make movies. And when Hollywood goes down the tanks, they're going to look up and go, maybe we should have used that AI. So there is absolutely some risks of how this is going to change the economy. I'm not worried big picture, but I am worried about isolated, jobs or companies. Yes, sir. It does mean, and there's good news, bad news. I mean, the bad news is you get a lot of people writing things that are fairly generic to what the AI wrote and told them, and they don't edit them, they don't improve it. They just tell the AI, I need a document, it creates a document, and the document's fairly bland, right? So definitely there's going to be some homogenization of work that would have had more creativity in it, maybe. On the other side, AI has the ability to take over really boring and mundane tasks to free people up to be more creative and more innovative. So this is going to be a 2 steps backwards, 3 steps forward, is what I think. I think you're going to have students in school that use AI tools to write really generic essays and just get through school, right? And I don't love that. I think they get out into the world, and what happens is the AI tools can do the really boring, mundane work, so they can do more interesting work. So it's a really good question. It's not an all bad and an all good thing. Again, I think there's 60% I like about it freeing us from doing boring, mundane things. There's 40% of I worry about the humans who turn off their brains and quit being creative. But I don't think that AI makes movies less creative. AI will make movies more creative because it'll give the people who make movies way more tools to do things they've never been able to do before. Yes, sir. Wow, I'm going to answer that question, and this is, we have like 3 minutes, so I'm going to answer this question quickly. People are pretty naive about what an AI is. And a lot of people will say things to me like, oh, an AI can only be as smart as a person. No, it can be way smarter than a person. Oh, an AI can't be creative. Oh, yes, it can be creative. When we build AI tools, we are building them in the exact way that you as a human being learn. So you were born with zero knowledge. And then over time, people told you things, you read things, you experienced things, and then you created a base of knowledge. And then we taught you ethics and morals. So we taught you to not only have knowledge, but we taught you to have discretion about how you use, that knowledge. And then you have reinforcement learning. You're learning new things all the time. This is exactly how we teach an AI model. We give it billions of pieces of information to go learn. Billions. In fact, that's how we measure AIs today. We go 70B. That means 70 billion pieces of information went into training that thing. Then we put guardrails around an AI. The guardrails are like ethics for a human being. And then we build reinforcement learning into the AI, that when it interacts with us, it learns what works and what doesn't work, and it improves itself. AI tools learn exactly like human beings learn. So that's my quick answer that I can give you in 3 minutes. I could give you a more technical answer if I had more time. But it's important that you understand that AI, it can be smarter than us. It can learn way more than us because it can look at billions of pieces of information, and we don't look at a billion pieces of information in our lives. And it has the same structure for its knowledge that we do as human beings. And an AI's guardrails, once they're built, they never change. They don't alter. They don't have ethics and then they break their ethics. And people in this room, you have ethics and then you break them. A machine doesn't do that. Right? So it's important to understand what we really got here when we talk about an AI engine. And then the only thing, when I say AI engines, just understand there's a lot of specific kinds of engines. I made pictures with generative AI, right? That's how I made pictures. But there are AI engines that do all these other things. And so that's the other thing to understand is just like, your knowledge, okay, is different than his knowledge. That's exactly what we're doing with AI right now. If you look at ChatGPT, and 2 weeks ago they came out with O1, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to get up to speed a bit more, right? ChatGPT 4 is a large language model, but they came out with O1, which is a large reasoning model. It's a whole different type of AI brain, and their large reasoning model thinks. It literally thinks like a human being does. The large language model doesn't do that. Large language model is good at creating documents, but the large reasoning model they came out with is good at solving problems. Math, writing code, all right? So we're building AI engines that specialize in lots of different types of intelligence now, just like human beings do. That's how close the analogy is. It's just that they're much more powerful. So if we build a math expert or a programming expert AI, it blows away any human being that is a programmer or a mathematician. So anyway, just good questions. I wish we had more time to talk about a lot of these things. But I have to be done now. And like I said, I'll hang around, so if you have any other questions, you can come up and talk to me about them. I'll give you one thing. If you want to learn more and learn faster, there is a podcast that's called The AI Breakdown. And the AI Breakdown is about 15-minute, 10-minute podcasts. He does 2 or 3. Daniel Whitmore does them and does about 2 or 3 a week. And they're meant for folks like you to just keep you up to speed on what's going on in AI. All right? It's called the AI Breakdown. If all you did was just listen to that coming and going to work, just a couple days a week, you'd be amazed how much you would learn about what's going on in the world of these tools today. So, and I encourage you to stay up on this. I mean, this really is a game changer, no joke, and it really will draw a line between those who understand it and can use it and those who don't. And I would love to be on this side of the line, that you at least understand the power of this and can put it to work for you in whatever you're trying to do. All right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Scott. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm equally parts excited and terrified by some of this. I will say, last I heard, AI is pretty bad at lawyering, so I think I'm safe for a couple more years. I will say, see Carl Vincent back there is the only guy standing up. I'm going to be on the lookout. If you start sounding a little too robotic up here, we're going to call you out on that. Thank you, Scott. That really was a truly fascinating and interesting presentation. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton Elementary. Today's book is Collaboration Station. Upcoming programs. Next week is Ashley Webb, Beermeister. He'll be talking to us about the long-standing festival of Oktoberfest. October 16, our own Phil Lakin will talk about the 25th anniversary of the Tulsa Community Foundation. And October 23rd will be Holly Towers, Executive Director of Lilyfield, which provides social services to vulnerable children and families. Special guests this week to gold sponsors We Be Trees, Tim Knoll, Max Electric Supply, Jack McGlumphy. Coldwell Banker Select, Sheree Gardner. OK Ethics, Mary Lytle. Silver sponsors, Associated Mortgage Corporation, Chuck Wilson. Bank First, Paul Baumann and Bill Miller. Clear Ridge LLC, Matthew Bristow. Southern Millworks, Bill Vogel. Bronze sponsors, Lewis Roofing. Moore's Funeral Home, Joe Moore. Mr. Ed's Auction, Ed Vierheller. PricewaterhouseCooper, Daniel Simone, Kevin McManus. Committee meetings, long-range planning will meet today after this meeting in room 231, and Club Foundation Development will be in Parker Hall. All this talk about intelligence reminded me of a quote from Yogi Berra. He said that the game of baseball is 90% mental and the other half is physical. I don't think any sort of synthetic intelligence will ever be capable of that level of charm or interest. So I'll leave you with that. We're adjourned.
If anybody wants copies of the slides, you can get copies of the slides if you want to shoot that QR code. So I always give copies of the slides to people if they want them.